Welcome everyone, this is AndresRestart, and today we're going to be talking about some possibilities for new challengers in the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Fighters Pass. But this time, we're going to be talking about just female reps. Now, why female reps? Well, there's a multitude of different reasons, but basically a lot of people believe, myself included, that a major Nintendo Direct is around the corner because of a multitude of reasons, such as the FCC filing for a Super Nintendo wireless controller, because of the whole Watermelon Mario tweet, because of all the different games leaked from GameStop, because of this recent Overwatch case, and because there's simply a history of Nintendo Directs during the month of September. A lot of people have been speculating that a Nintendo Direct is around the corner, but not only that there will be a major DLC character revealed during this point, because besides a major Nintendo Direct during the fall time, the only other opportunity to reveal a DLC character, it seems, is during the Game Awards, and there's 2 more characters to be revealed before that February 2020 deadline. So a September Nintendo Direct seems like the prime time to reveal the 4th challenger. But that still doesn't answer why a lot of people are saying a female character. Well, firstly, there's a lot of rumors going around simply saying a female character, but also, there hasn't been a dedicated female rep in the Fighters Pass yet, and a lot of people feel that there should be some variety there, and I kind of agree. Now, I'm not saying that there has to be a female representative, right? For example, we already got Banjo and Kazooie. They're technically a male and female, but they're also a bear and a bird. They're not humans. So I don't necessarily put too much stock into like, oh, that's a point for the males, that's a point for the females. I don't really look at it in that way, but I do think there needs to be variety appealing to different parts of the fan base for the Smash and Nintendo community. So I don't necessarily think, for example, that the final 2 characters are going to be Doom Guy and Leon S. Kennedy. And for the record, I think both of them are really likely, and I think at least one of them might make it. But the idea of both getting in there, 2 characters who use guns from franchises that are very gory and have a lot of explicit content, when we already have Joker who already uses a gun in the Fighters Pass, I just don't think that's a super likely outcome. I think maybe one of those, and then another character that I don't really see coming, maybe one of the characters we talk about today. So we're going to be speculating about some potential female characters. Now, I brought up earlier that there is an Overwatch case for the Switch leaked. So basically there was a Nintendo Switch case that was leaked on Amazon that's an Overwatch branded case, and it's licensed by both Nintendo and Blizzard Entertainment. This is pretty much all but confirming that Overwatch is coming to the Nintendo Switch. And with the Nintendo Direct seeming imminent at this point, it seems fairly likely that Overwatch is going to be revealed for the Nintendo Switch during this Nintendo Direct, which is when we also expect to see the reveal for the 4th DLC character. So people are making the connection that maybe we're going to get a reveal for Overwatch coming to the Switch and a DLC character revealing an Overwatch representative. And the poster girl for Overwatch is Tracer. Now, I'm not going to pretend like I know a whole bunch about Overwatch. I don't, but I do know that the characters in Overwatch have a background, they have personality, there's a lot to them. So this character is fairly iconic, it does represent a lot. Overwatch is a very popular franchise, so I could maybe see it happening. It would be something that I would consider to be left field, but I could see it happening. At the same time though, Overwatch has never been on Nintendo before. There isn't a long history with Nintendo. Overwatch is a relatively recent franchise, so compared to some of the other DLC characters, it's fairly new, and I wouldn't say it's as iconic and as representative of gaming history as a whole, which is what some of the DLC characters seem to be. Characters that are iconic, that play a pivotal role in the history of gaming and Nintendo. But Overwatch is still fairly important, still fairly popular. Tracer seems like a really cool character from what I know, which isn't much, and I would be happy with it if it did happen. But I don't necessarily expect it, but I do think it is at least somewhat possible. And while I do think there is definitely something to the theory that there's going to be a third-party game for each third-party character that comes in the Fighters Pass, there's a whole bunch of other games that could potentially be at the Nintendo Direct. It doesn't just have to be, oh look, Overwatch, so for sure there's gotta be an Overwatch character. There's so many other options. For example, we likely will maybe see something about Doom Eternal during the Nintendo Direct, and maybe Doom Guy is the next DLC character. But we are talking about potential female reps this time around, so let's get into a few other possibilities. Now, I mentioned Leon S. Kennedy from Resident Evil earlier, but there's another very popular Resident Evil character that's a female that can maybe take the place of Leon representing the Resident Evil franchise instead, or at least come in alongside Leon as 2 alternate costumes of each other. And that's Jill Valentine. The Resident Evil series is the most popular horror franchise in the world. The horror genre is not really represented in Super Smash Bros. Yet, and Resident Evil definitely has been on many Nintendo systems. It plays a big role in both gaming history and Nintendo history. So to see Jill Valentine to come in as the Resident Evil representative for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate in the Fighters Pass would be a very welcome addition, and I do think there's a very high likelihood of this happening. But as I say in the podcast all the time, while I do think there's a really good chance that Jill Valentine could be making it into Super Smash Bros., I also think there's a whole bunch of other possibilities as well, so I wouldn't put all my stock into this character actually happening. Now, there's actually a rumor going around that I don't really think has too much credibility, but maybe could be right. Everyone seems to be talking about, so maybe there's something to it. No, the rumor definitely probably is wrong. It's probably just a prediction being masked as a leak. But basically the rumor is saying that there's going to be a female representative that people are going to be confused and somewhat upset about, and it's even been brought up that there may be some sort of mecha involved as well. So when that is said, a female that's unexpected, that may leave some people upset, which honestly I think any sort of Smash character will leave some people upset because everyone wants a whole bunch of different characters to make it in, so someone's always going to be disappointed no matter what it is. But it will have some sort of mecha involved with it. There's a couple characters that come to mind, but they're not really third-party characters, so that kind of goes against this whole trend we're seeing with third-party characters in the Fighters Pass, but there isn't necessarily a hard rule that every character in the Fighters Pass has to be a third-party character, so here are some of my ideas. Maybe it could be Pyra or Mythra from Xenoblade Chronicles 2. There is a demand for Rex and Pyra and Mythra to make it in to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Sakurai did acknowledge the fan demand for a Xenoblade Chronicles 2 representative in Super Smash Bros. In the final Smash Direct, but he just gave us a Mii costume of Rex instead, so some people just kind of assume that it can never happen again, but maybe he just meant not immediately and maybe later into the future it could happen. So maybe Pyra or Mythra could be the next fighters in the Fighters Pass. And spoiler, they kind of have some sort of mech that they can control in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. It's a little weird how it works, but it could definitely be involved with some sort of final smash they may have in the game. Now, personally, I'd be a little upset if it was just Mythra or just Pyra. If you play Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Pyra and Mythra work in conjunction with Rex to fight together as a tandem, so I would prefer it if it worked like another duo character, kind of like Rosalina and Luma or Ice Climbers. That would make more sense, and that would be more representative of what Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was, which is what Sakurai does with all of these different DLC characters, whoever they are. He pays a lot of attention to the root of that character, where it came from, and does something with the moveset so it represents what they sort of did in the game. But again, I'll say, we did already get a Mii costume for Rex, and there are spirits already, so it does make it seem a little less likely that they'll be in the Fighters Pass, especially because I'm not even expecting any first-party characters, but assuming that it could still be a first-party character, maybe it could be Elma from Xenoblade Chronicles X. She also uses a mech as well in Xenoblade Chronicles X, and she'd be really cool, and she is fairly requested as well as a Xenoblade rep in Super Smash Bros., so maybe Elma can make it in. But moving on to other third-party characters that can maybe make it in, one character that isn't quite as popular as Gino, but is kind of a long-time fan-requested character, and that's female, is Shantae. Now, Shantae would be really cool. There's been a lot of Shantae games on Nintendo systems for years, but the Shantae series is kind of more of a smaller series. It's kind of more on the level of Shovel Knight, in my opinion, and Shovel Knight, if there was ever going to be any sort of indie game character to make it in, it would be Shovel Knight, and he's just an assist trophy. Granted, Shantae's been around for a very long time, so maybe she could make it in, but I'm sure someone in the comments is going to say she can't possibly make it in, she's a spirit. I don't necessarily agree that spirits deconfirm characters, but I will say if a character is a spirit, I do think it means it's at least a little less likely. Now, I've seen some people suggest maybe another Overwatch character that uses a mech, or maybe that girl from ARMS that uses a mech, but I don't really think those are really likely. I think any character that makes it into the Fighters Pass kind of needs to be like the main character for their particular series, or at least the second most important character. So really, there's just one more character that comes to mind that I think would make a lot of sense, and it wasn't my idea. I actually discussed this with Shifty during the podcast a few days ago, and I thought he made a really good point. This character is a character that, besides Samus, is arguably the most important female character in gaming history, and maybe even more important than Samus. And this character and franchise have been around for years, and it would be really awesome if they announced this character alongside some third-party ports of this franchise to the Nintendo Switch. The series I'm talking about is Tomb Raider, and the character I'm talking about is Lara Croft. She's been in tons of games, so there's definitely a lot of potential for a moveset there. She is a gaming icon, there's a lot of history there. She would fit right in my opinion, and on top of that, if the whole third-party theory is true with third-party games coming alongside these actual DLC characters, I would love it if we could get some Tomb Raider ports from a couple years ago on the Nintendo Switch. That would have me very excited. But to provide a counter-argument for Lara Croft, that would mean another Square Enix representative. We just got Dragon Quest, another Square Enix game. It would seem weird to have two Square Enix representatives in a Fighters Pass that only includes 5 characters, especially when there's already a fair bit of representation for Square Enix in Super Smash Bros. So I am a bit skeptical of this as a possibility, but if it does happen, I'd be very, very excited about this. I think this would make a lot of sense for Super Smash Bros. So though there's some possibilities for a female representative in the Fighters Pass for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, do you guys have any other ideas? Do you think there's going to be a female rep, or is it just going to be 2 different characters that we don't really see coming, or something else? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'm curious what you guys have to say. Anyways everyone, this is AndresRestart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Bye.